viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your InterMiamiCF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or InterMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where InterMiami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
All righty. Good morning, Manny. How you doing, baby? How you feeling? You feeling good?
I'm feeling great. Oh, how are you, buddy?
I can't complain. We're getting closer and closer to at least Miami of Ohio. I know it's not necessarily Texas matchup. I know the Texas A&M one is the one we're really looking forward to on September 9th. Right. But obviously we got September 1st to work their way to. It's one of those things, right? Like they obviously are looking forward to that Texas A&M game, but you can't overlook Miami of Ohio, especially when you're a team that's lost or struggled to lesser teams.
Absolutely. I think, if Miami learned a lesson last year, right, is you don't take the Middle Tennessee states lightly. You don't take the Louisiana Techs lightly. You don't take the FIUs lightly anymore as Miami. Those used to be automatic W's, right? I think Mario – game one, they should beat Miami of Ohio. They were a program that struggled last year. It's not like they're playing some world-class MAC school is what I'm saying. It's not like this is a team that has the talent to come in and beat them. This is certainly a mismatch from that perspective. So I think, what I'm looking for in game one is for a lot of guys to get an opportunity to get on the field, especially a lot of the freshmen, to get those guys some experience because – you're probably going to need them to beat Texas A&M. You're going to need a few young guys and some of these new transfers to get in there and get some confidence so that in week 2 you're ready to go. You're right. You can't overlook Miami of Ohio.
So one of those young guys is Francis Mauigoa?
Mauigoa, yep.
Okay. So he's the ACC impact player, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been around this kid. How is he with compliments and praise, and are we going to get a kid that's going to get a fat head already, or is he, you know what I'm saying? It's because we talk a lot about a kid that hasn't done anything yet for the Canes. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I hope he can stay level-headed here. Is my point.
Yeah, I think he will. I got a chance to go to IMG Academy back in December and spend a lot of time with him and some of the other Miami recruits who the Hurricanes signed. And what I took away from Francis is this kid is very driven to get his family paid, to get his family well taken care of. And between him and his brother, football is huge. I think the only thing bigger than that for them is faith. They're both two very religious type guys. Their father and their family make sure that they're very grounded. So he's a very motivated kid. I think he's going to come in here and give Miami a huge lift, because he is a physical force. At 6'5", 341, 342 pounds, he is a beast. He is a man-child. And I can tell you from talking to him and spending a lot of time with him up there that he is very motivated and driven. I don't think he's the kind of kid who's going to lead you astray.
Okay. All right. Because, we're getting a lot of praise. I'm hoping he also lives up to the billing like some of these kids that they've gotten. I hope, and it's so important that they succeed. We talked about it last week that this is a really important stage for Mario. Not so much about winning 10 games or winning the ACC. We know that that's not on the table right now. It's ahead of them. Not right now. But the real thing is having the young guys that you have recruited, the big time guys, they need to have, success. Well, at the same time, it's really important that these guys have success because they're going to be the pillars of this program moving forward. They're the guys that are really going to, hopefully restart this program to being respectable again and those kind of things. So these players are so important in so many different ways for selling the program, for the stability of the program, for the future of the program, because you hope that a kid like Francis is teaching the next generation 2 years,
Yeah.
what the hell to do before he's off and running, to the NFL to support his family and those kind of things. Although you can support your family while you're here too, by the way. So
Right. That was part of why I said that. But
yeah.
I think they have some cornerstones to build around. I think Ray Joseph is going to be the guy in that receiver room in a year. He's going to be the one everybody's looking up to because of his work ethic, because of how good he is, because of how talented he is. I think Ruben Bain is another one of those guys. It's hard to lead. Oh, and you know this from the Dolphins' perspective, being in that locker room for years. It's hard to lead when you aren't the best player at the position, right?
Yeah, no.
You have to be at least the alpha in your position room, and so it's hard as a true freshman to come in here and do that. So Mauigoa is not going to do that as an offensive lineman because they've got Matt Lee and they've got Javian Cohen. Ruben Bain is not going to do that as a true freshman because they have Akeem Mesidor and Leonard Taylor, who are older than him. But you're right. The point here is the torch is sort of passed, and these guys are already in position going into 2024 as the guy at that position. Right. You need that. And so you're setting a pillar, as you said. These guys are in position to sort of take over those roles. I think another name to
These
discuss...
are the guys that are picking up after Cam Kitchens, who is the one that has started to establish it already. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Right. I think another guy to keep an eye on is Damari Brown, who's Selwyn Brown's son, one of two that he has on the team. His older brother came over from UCF, played 3 years there as a starter. He's going to play a lot. The two of them are going to play a lot together. But I think Damari is sort of set up as the leader of that DB room, right, in the years to come because he's that kind of guy. So they have it all over the field. But, at the same time, I think the one thing Miami has to guard against is depending too much on those freshmen right away in year one to carry the load. Because we've seen it happen before. We've seen these freshmen come in, and when they have too much to sort of carry, too much weight to hold on their own, which is why you need the transfer portal, right? You need the transfer portal that's why you go out and you get those fill-ins. So to me, that's the thing I would guard against. Like, one of my warnings to Miami fans is if you see the freshmen doing too much, the season is not going well. It's not going well.
Right.
So
right.
I think it's going to be good for them to be contributors. I think the moment they are the man at that position and as true freshmen, trouble this season for Mario Cristobal.
You mentioned the guy Matt Lee, kid from UCF. Tell me about the new center. What's he added so far?
Yeah, big kid, 6'4", 295, and he's the smallest offensive lineman they have, in terms of guys in that starting unit. So what I like about Matt is, he was very under-recruited. UCF, I think, was one of his few major offers. And so he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a kid who right off the bat is an overachiever, somebody who wants to sort of prove people wrong. So you bring that attitude to the room, and that's who he is. I got a chance to talk with him in Charlotte for a while. He's actually of Cuban descent. His father is of Cuban descent, but I think really didn't spend much time with his father. Was with his mom up in Central Florida, and so he speaks a little bit of Spanish, not a lot, but he has got a little Latin blood with him, even though his name is Matt Lee. Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Yes.
Not a Hispanic name.
It's not a Hispanic name, but certainly a guy who's got some Latin roots in him. So. But he is.
His parents have like a mixed background. Also, is that where the lead?
Yeah, I think that's part of the deal. Yes, sort of a mixed background. But yeah, because he kind of dropped that one on me, and I said, wow, I didn't know you were Hispanic. So, but okay, so he's got that in him. But what I like about Matt more than anything else, again, is just he's got this like, hey. It doesn't matter what I've done in my past. It doesn't matter if I was, all conference at UCF or whatever. Like, it's about this season, this team, this getting guys around me better. He's very much a team-oriented guy, and you need that from your center position. You need a guy who is going to come in there, be smart, know how to lift his teammates up around him. So it's a good influence. Again, Mario had to change his locker room. You go back to the end of that season last year when they lost to Pittsburgh, man, and what were we saying? Guys quitting, right? At the end of the year, just not caring, not giving a damn. It's changed.
Exactly what I said about the Dolphins for many years. They've needed an organizational enema. And that's just kind of and that's actually what has gone through from top to bottom, dude, from the administration's complete attitude of how they support it, all the way to the coaches, to the players, to the facilities, they have gone through an entire organizational enema because they have flushed everything that they used to do right down the toilet, and now they're doing everything completely different. And to me, that's why I think the Dolphins are headed in the right direction and the Canes are headed in the right direction, because they were both doing everything the wrong way.
Yeah.
And finally doing things the right way.
Here's what I would argue for the Miami fans. If this team goes and wins, I don't know, they go 8-4, 7-5, they're going to say, well, it's the same thing as Manny Diaz. Why did we get rid of Manny Diaz, right? It's the same type of win total. I think the one thing Miami fans have to realize is Mario is going after the better athlete. He's recruiting the elite athlete that you need to win, whereas I think Manny Diaz didn't really put up the effort. There were guys he didn't even fight for in the city. And yes, guys are going to leave. They're not going to pick Miami. They're going to leave South Florida and they're going to go play somewhere else. But I think there's a general consensus feeling amongst a lot of Miami fans, like, well, if Mario doesn't win any more than Manny, what's the big deal? Well, you got investors, you got people investing in the university in ways that you didn't have before under Manny Diaz. So to me, yes, the results may not be markedly better this year for Mario, but he has amped up recruiting. He's going after better players, and there's more money around the program because he's in charge of it. Whereas before, I don't think there was that support.
All right, let me ask you an unfair question, because they haven't played yet and you haven't seen everything yet. Strength and weaknesses of the Miami Hurricanes in the 2023 season. What do you think they are?
3 strengths I'll give you. I think it's offensive line, I think it's defensive line, and I think it's probably quarterback. I would say those are the
first two. You have those, no, seriously, those first two are successful. Everything else falls into place, dude.
Yeah, I think that's the point, is there you have a foundation there to build with, right? You're gonna get off the bus and you're gonna look like a real team because of what the meat eaters that you have on both sides of the ball. Defensive tackle is a position that I would say is still somewhat of a weakness in my mind. I wouldn't call that the top weakness. I think the top weakness is probably cornerback or receiver. Those are two positions that have to prove themselves in my book. But third would probably be D tackle, because you don't have a gargantuan beast in the middle to stop the run. So those are areas. I still think there's more weaknesses than strengths on this team. I still think we're getting to where it's closer to being even, but it's not even yet. They've got to kind of prove it to me.
Okay. And tell me about Zaquan Patterson and David Stone this week.
Yeah, 2 big recruits for Miami, 2 guys that they want, obviously committed. Zaquan's a kid out of Chaminade, elite, top 100 type talent, very much a ball hawk, a Cam Kitchens type talent, the kind of player that if Mario is going to change Miami, he has to get. You can't let these kids that are elite top 100 players in your backyard that are interested in you go elsewhere. But it's an uphill battle. I think Auburn, I think Michigan, I think all the schools that he has as his finalists have a chance to get him. I don't know that Miami is going to get him, but you play a season, you keep recruiting, and until they sign on the paper, it's not over. And the other one was David Stone, who I got a chance to talk to at IMG Academy a couple weeks ago, and I'll probably write a story on him for The Athletic here. David is from Oklahoma. He has a lot of pressure to stay home, so the Sooners, I think, are probably the favorite to get him. But I would say Michigan State, has done an unreal job recruiting him. I know he really likes the Spartans, and I know he had a special sort of relationship with the coaches up there. I think Miami has done everything it can to try to get him to stay here, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. It's hard. When you go 5-7, you change your coaching staff, and those kids now have to be recruited by a new person, and you're selling a new dream, and hey, yes, we had to hit the reset button. Yes, you can come in here and help us right away. Yes, you can live in beautiful South Florida. Whereas those kids turn around and say, well, I can stay home, right? Like David Stone can say, I can stay home in Oklahoma and be a hero and play in the SEC next year. It's hard to compete against. You know, and Zaquan Patterson, the same thing. You can go play for Auburn in the SEC, or you can go play for Michigan in the Big Ten, or Ohio State. Like, to me, it's tough when you're 5-7, when you get beat 45-3 by Florida State, and you're there in person to see that. Like, can I see myself really helping this program take off, or do I get lured away? That's the battle that Mario faces. Most coaches at Miami always had recent history, NFL superstars to point to and say, hey, look at what we just did. Look at what we just... Mario doesn't have that. He's got ancient history to rely on. He's got old players that some of these kids have never even seen play, right?
They don't even know. Yeah,
they don't even know. So you're selling a dream without anything real anymore. And I think that's the part Miami fans have to realize when it comes to recruiting. You don't have an on-campus stadium, right? You don't have... Your football facility, your forever football facility, your $100 million plus football facility still isn't even started construction. You know, you went 5-7. You were a joke last season. Like, that's hard to overcome. So you sell your ass off. You try to get these kids to come, but if they don't commit, they don't commit. And you just deal with it. You move on, and you have to overachieve with other kids that you can get to come here. That's it.
All right, what do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check you out?
A lot of preseason content. I put out, I think, the 3-star All-America team today. There's an ACC mailbag with questions related to realignment that's coming out if it's not out already. I got stories on IMG Academy and that whole thing where a lot of Miami players have come from here in this last signing class. David Stone's announcement this weekend. I'll have something on that. And then there's high school football action this week, man. The game started last week, but there's a bunch of big-time matchups in Broward County. There's a triple header on Saturday at St. Thomas Aquinas with some of the best high school teams. I'll be there to watch all that. So there'll be plenty of coverage. There'll be podcasts. I've done a bunch of national podcasts for The Athletic. Talking about quarterback tiers in the ACC. So, look, you can get all your Canes coverage from the usual places. I'm not going to sit here and tell you can't get good stuff from those guys. I respect all the work that they do. But if you really want to get into college football and get a wealth of information, not just read about your own team, but really know about everything going on in college football, that's a reason to sign up for The Athletic, and it's super cheap. Super cheap.
I agree about that. Super cheap. And follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, we'll catch up on Friday, my friend. Appreciate you as always.
Good talking to you. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your InterMiamiCF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.